Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our politics panel on the Smith government contemplating changes to the Recall Act as the list of petitions continues to grow. But first, the question of a referendum.
I've always said my job is to tell people that Canada works and show them that it works, and to get more people to understand that we can have our own sovereign areas of jurisdiction within a united Canada. So I got a little more work to do.
Danielle Smith addressing the issue of separatist support within her party, a sentiment on display at the recent UCP AGM, and adding pressure to the equation. Elections Alberta certifying success of the citizen-led petition calling for Alberta to stay within Canada. And joining us now, Thomas Lukaszuk, former Deputy Premier, lead proponent behind the Forever Canadian petition. Thomas, good to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
This is quite a time for you. The Chief Electoral Officer signaling you've met the legislative requirements.
Correct.
Your petition is a success. It leaves the Smith government with a bit of a decision.
Well, yeah, the Premier created this piece of legislation, so now she has the outcome of this legislation. This petition just got tabled in the Alberta legislature, and she has to make a decision. And, you know, never in the history of this province, since 1905, has a petition of this size been tabled in the Alberta legislature. But at the same time, rarely premiers are confronted with a situation where the right and wrong are so clear. And she has to now make a decision between what is right for the province and what isn't. And that's a choice between not having a referendum and just resolving this issue in the legislature. We purposely filed our petition under the legislative stream, so she has that option not to have a damaging, divisive referendum, or do what's politically expedient for her and the UCP party and put us through a hellish referendum.
So some would suggest that you've actually boxed the Premier in here.
Well, that wasn't the intention. You know, it's her...
But that's how it's ended up being.
It's her law. You know, it is a UCP law. They created this citizens initiative. If I didn't file my petition when I did, under the old rules, she was already laying out the field for separatists to file theirs. You know, she lowered the thresholds for them and extended the period of time that they could collect signatures. They even had a deal on when they will file this petition, you know, July 4th, American Independence Day. I just sort of thwarted their plan a little bit by filing mine first. But now she has a petition. But what we did is we gave her an option where the separatists were not going to give her an option. They were going to file under the constitutional stream, which forces the Premier to have a referendum. Our petition gives her a choice to do the right thing. Now it's up to her to decide.
Okay, so how quickly does the government have to deal with this? Because as you pointed out, this is now before the legislature. And what do you make of the dialogue, given that it's now before the legislature?
Well, the Premier has to deal with this prior or on the next provincial election. So she can call a standalone referendum or attach it to the next election. But preferably, she will call a question in the chamber of the legislature where all MLAs get to vote on, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? And I have no doubt that most MLAs would vote yes, that you know, they're Canadians, they're proud Canadians. As a matter of fact, the only reason they are all MLAs and cabinet ministers and premier is because they actually swore a vote of allegiance to the crown. So you would hope that they would, you know, support that. And then this issue goes away and the government can focus on provincial issues and building a relationship with Ottawa, which we are seeing a beginning of. If we go through a referendum, all that will be shredded to pieces. And we saw what happened to Quebec during a referendum. You know, Royal Bank, Bank of Montreal, Sun Life Insurance, they all packed up their headquarters and moved to Toronto. Ms. Nancy Southern of ATCO is already telling us that she is seeing an economic impact on her company because of this separatist talk. You know, investment confidence weakens when a jurisdiction, when a province is talking about separatism.
Do we see something decided on in this current sitting, which is due to end, or it's been extended, but is due to end next week?
Well, if the Premier really now is taking the position that Canada works, which is the right position for any Premier to take, and she wants to show that Canada works, and now she has an MOU with Prime Minister Carney, and she wants to build on that relationship, the right thing to do would be is just to call call a question in the legislature, resolve this, get this off the agenda, and continue focusing on building Alberta's economy. This referendum, you know, we're heading into Christmas right now. We are in a situation that Albertans are so divided that family members don't talk to family members on a variety of political issues. We know that the economic and social damage that a referendum would cause, you know, just do the right thing. Deal with this in the legislature and get it done and over with. I know she's pressured by some UCP party members to have a referendum. But I also know at the same time, poll after poll after poll in our petition shows that vast majority of Albertans, you know, up to 80% of Albertans want nothing to do with separatism. They want both our federal government and provincial government to focus on what matters, affordability, healthcare, education, not the silliness of separatism.
Okay, but if it goes to a referendum, how ready are you for that?
Oh, we're ready.
Do you step in, or is this the point at which, okay, I've done my work, I'm step back and let somebody else carry the torch?
All of us have to step in. All of us Canadians who live in Alberta, and frankly, all Canadians have to step in, like we stepped into the Quebec referendum. I can tell you, my Unity bus is in the shop right now, getting a brand new transmission. It's good to go. And we are pivoting our campaign from a signature petition gathering campaign to a referendum campaign. And I hope we never have to deploy it. I hope that the Premier does the right thing. But if she chooses to go the referendum route, bring it on. We're ready to go.
You mentioned Quebec a couple of times, and that was pivotal in Canadian history. So how pivotal a point are we at right now in the history of Alberta politics?
To our business community, it could be existential. Once you lose investment and investor confidence, it takes a long time to build it up. Also to our relationship with Ottawa and other provinces, you know, good things have started to happen. It looks like Premier Smith and Prime Minister Carney have found a language through which they can communicate and reach certain deals. Now, if you put the threat of Alberta leaving Canada on the table, the rest of Canada will get engaged, because I can tell you, I just came back from Ottawa, meeting with the federal caucus, with Senate, and with the Prime Minister's office, and they all want Alberta to stay in Canada. They can't imagine Canada without Alberta. So we would be shredding a lot of this goodwill that has been recently built up with Prime Minister Carney and Ottawa and other provinces needlessly. There is so much opportunity right now to build upon, as opposed to shredding it with a divisive referendum, which we already know the outcome of. Pro-Canadians will win, and will win with a large majority. But the fact is that the process in itself is very damaging.
All right, Thomas, we'll have to leave it there for time. As always, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.